you grew up, let's maybe even take it a little step farther. Take a step back. You grew up in humble conditions. Describe to people how you grew up.
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town outside of Boston. There was no successful people, right? It was like the most successful person in my town is someone that works a trade, which there's nothing wrong with it, but they're a plumber, they're an electrician, they're in construction. That is the cream of the crop. Or they're like a police officer or a firefighter or something of that nature. That is literally the top of the top, like the 1% of the town I grew up in. But the average person, you're working at the supermarket, you're bagging groceries, you're not making too much money, you're paycheck to paycheck, you're on government assistance. And at the time when I grew up in the town where I was, now it's changed a little bit, but it was the largest heroin epidemic per capita in the United States.
Wow.
So when I woke up every single day, I'd walk outside, and I lived in like a project type complex, and you see needles on the floor. You see people die from overdoses. There's a few times where, it was 2 a.m. and I hear boom, it sounds like a bomb. I look outside and there's a SWAT team breaking down a door.
Wow.
So that's like the environment I grew up in. But what was so crazy is my parents were the complete opposite of that. My parents are Muslim. They are immigrants. I came here when I was 6 months old, and they have never touched alcohol. They've never done a single drug, and they pray 5 times a day. So to be around a drug infested environment with a bunch of people that are fucked up all day, they're drinking, they're on drugs, and then my parents to be the completely opposite was very interesting, because in the home, my dynamic was extremely strict. But the minute that I walked out the door, it was like, oh my God, I see everything that's going on. So that was kind of like the beginnings of life. And for me, that was always extremely motivating, because I was like, I knew at an early age, when someone's 5 or 6 years old, all they're thinking about is, oh, I want to go and I want to play with this thing, or I want to get this toy, or I want to go on this bicycle. For me, all I was thinking about is, how can I make more money? And for a 5 or a 6-year-old to think that, to me, is not normal. It's a completely abnormal thing. So until this day, I remember I walked out of my project complex. I saw a maintenance guy there, and he was sitting outside, and he was working just like on a floor. He was fixing stuff. He was putting some tile down, and I went over and I asked him for a job. I'm 5 years old. I'm like a super curious kid. I walk up to strangers and I ask them, what's up? What do they do? How do they make money? Obviously, he's like, oh, I can't do that, but if you want, you can help me here. And I start helping him. And I wasn't even making any money. I think he gave me like $1 or something like that. And to me, that was a huge deal. Then as I got older, I would literally go, just because my parents would work like 70, 80 hours a week. So I had a lot of freedom.
What did your folks do?
My dad was a taxi driver, and my mom worked layaway in Marshalls. So she was like in the back store of like a little retail store. Just folding clothes, pricing items, stuff, kind of stuff like that. And again, they both didn't speak great English. So I was just kind of this like weird kid out. I had no friends. I was different than all of my friends at school, because my parents, bought me immigrant type clothes, just weird clothes and stuff that people would make fun of me with. I was literally just the odd man out.
Did you get bullied at all as a kid?
Yeah. I got bullied a lot. And as I got older and I got bullied, I just got angrier and angrier, and I was like, I want to become successful because I want to tell all these people to fuck off one day. That was just like my pure motivation. So I'd go to gas stations and I'd be like, can I work here? They're like, dude, you're like 9 years old. Get the hell out of here. So my first job ended up being one of my dad's friends who worked at a gas station. He was a mechanic, and that gas station happened to be right outside of Fenway Park, which is the Red Sox stadium. And I had a flag where I would literally flag people in. It was like 9 or 10 years old. And I would literally flag people in, just literally holding a flag like this and getting them to park their cars here before the game. So that was the first thing I ever did. And that led to me doing that, me working in a motel for my uncle.
What kind of stuff did you encounter in a motel in an area that was drug infested?
Dude, so the motel actually wasn't where I was. So I actually went there in the summer, and it was a few hours away from where I was it was like Lancaster or something like that. So I was there, and it was probably like a $25 or $30 a night type motel.
Oh, wow.
So it was like bike riders and, people coming in on their Harleys, little gangs, just super, super broke people. So, I mean, it was normal. To me, I'm a kid, so everything is normal. I don't think anything is out of the blue or different. Today, if I look at that, I'm like, oh my God, and I put labels on it. But at that time, I'm like, this is just life. So I was just cleaning. I had people come over and like, hey kid, you want a beer, and I'd take a little sip and stuff. And, I was doing stuff like that. But for me, it was just always about figuring out how to make money, because I was conscious enough of our financial kind of instability, and how my parents needed to constantly rely on, different things. We had to fight, paycheck to paycheck. And my parents were always fighting about money. Like I would always hear them arguing and it was always about money. So I was like, this is a huge problem.